Hello, I am back because I don't even know why this particular situation prompted me to decide that I was going to remember that I had a whole commentary YouTube channel. But I've decided to, dust off the old YouTube Studio app and stop using YouTube for just watching Judge Judy and People's Court videos. And if you see my comments on there, yeah, because, yeah, you a real one because you're watching those as well. But I've decided that I want to address this video or talk about this video specifically because I guess it's just so ridiculous that it's like, how can you not say something? But I also don't want to just comment on the ridiculousness of it all because I think that we all know that it is ridiculous. And on top of that, I don't really want to go into the depth of all of the allegations because, quite frankly, I think that that's better done by those who are making the allegations. And I just don't have time to do a deep dive and find all of the receipts and compile them. I don't want to do that. I just want to make a simple video talking about Colleen and kind of the bigger picture of all of this. Other than just the picture of her holding a ukulele. I don't know if I'm going to be back, so I'm not even going to tell you to subscribe or to turn on your post notifications. If you want to, thanks, but I don't know when I'm going to make the next video. I've just been busy with school and work and just life, but I'm here now and this is what I'm doing now, and hopefully I'll make a video in the future. We'll see. So anyways, let's get into it. I think it's appropriate to do a little bit of a backstory as to what even is going on in this video in the context. So on screen, you're seeing 30-something-year-old Colleen Ballinger, best known as the woman behind Miranda Sings, who has been a YouTube personality since basically the dawn of time. She is not donning her disheveled hair or smudged red lipstick, but that's her, y'all. That is Colleen Ballinger. She is currently a married mother of 3, which I think is important to mention considering what we're about to get into later in the allegations against her. And she has been on YouTube for a very long time. She's honestly, to me, one of those like YouTube pioneers. She's just paved the way for a lot of other people in a lot of other ways, I believe, especially with the whole Miranda Sings and keeping it going for as long as she has. So yeah, that's who she is. If you don't know who she is already, I guess you haven't been on YouTube that long. And this video might not be for you because you might be a child. And considering the fact that, she doesn't do well around minors, but I'm just kidding. That was a joke. I think that we've lost nuance and just like jokiness on the internet, but that's for a different topic. But that was a joke. If you don't know who Colleen Ballinger is, I'm not calling you a child. It was a joke. Okay. Next, so we have a little bit of backstory about who she is. Now, let's give you context about what the allegations are against her. So, there's this kid, Adam. Well, I guess he's not a kid anymore. I think he's like somewhere around being an adult, but he's younger than I am. So, he's definitely a kid, to me at least. But there's this guy, Adam McIntyre, I believe that's how you say his name, and he was a big fan of Colleen's. He was a huge stan. He the whole nine and everything, and he ended up getting in contact with Colleen, especially because she's an influencer, and even though she's like huge in the YouTube space, she's still at the end of the day so online and has such an online presence that I think that it's very natural for her to interact with fans. And that's one point that I want to make, is that this situation sounds so insane to people that are not used to influencers and how influencing works. I had an account for a very long time that had a good amount of followers, and when I tell you that account ran half of my life, it really did. And so even though I had a decent amount of followers, nowhere near the amount of followers that Colleen Ballinger has, I felt like I had to keep up with my notifications and keep up with my DMs so that, I wasn't neglecting anyone or anything, you know what I'm saying? So I think that it's not abnormal for her to I don't think it's abnormal for her to interact with fans. I've interacted with some influencers that I really liked and everything. And like, I've had a couple interactions with like Jackie Aina and people like that. And there are certain, I just think that influencers are more aware of their fans because they have to be online much more than, classic celebrities. The only thing about this that does start to be concerning is the fact that Adam was a child. Now, mind you, at the time, Adam was in his early teens and Colleen was a grown woman in her 20s/30s. I'm not 100% of how old she exactly was, but she was definitely a grown woman for sure. And, obviously, I don't think that there's anything wrong with a celebrity or an influencer or whatever interacting with fans that are underage. But the way that Colleen was interacting with this fan, it was inappropriate, point blank, period. Apparently, and you can go and look up these screenshots, they are very much readily available online. She was just making all types of innuendos towards Adam, talking about explicit, inappropriate things to him as he's a teenage boy. And, just keeps going with all these little jokes that are just not appropriate to be saying to a 15-year-old. Now, these allegations were brought up a few years ago, and I remember like watching his video and seeing how upset he was about basically realizing that this all happened to him. Because, when you're a teenager, when you're in that position, you think that you're grown. You think that you are on the same level as grown people. So he might not obviously have seen the red flags in that, but as you grow older, you see, okay, hey, I would not talk to a 15-year-old like that. I myself, I'm 22, almost 23. And I remember when I was 15, like, I thought I was grown. I was very much delusional, as we all are, as teenagers. But at a certain point, you start to realize I would not talk to a teenager like that because that's a teenager. And you start to really see them as kids. The older you get, the more you see teenagers as teenagers. And so it's funny because I'm always on TikTok. I love TikTok. And mind you, I'm on like I'm on the adult side of TikTok, young adult side of TikTok. But every now and again, I see TikToks of high schoolers and I'm just like, you are too young to be grown. And I'm like, I'm already thinking like a boomer, basically, because you see how young these kids are and they are making suggestive content or talking about explicit things that realistically they shouldn't be talking about. But they think that they're grown. And so they're going to, talk about what they don't realize that they're not grown. Adults are the ones who are supposed to tell them, hey, you're not grown. You shouldn't be talking about that. You don't know what you're getting yourself into. You don't know anything really. You're not grown enough to be having these conversations or to be talking about these things or to be making these types of jokes or to be making this type of explicit content. Adults are the ones to check the teenagers because the teenagers simply do not know better. So for Colleen to be a grown woman and to be making these types of comments to not only Adam, but I guess multiple teenagers, but definitely Adam, because Adam was very much close to her. At one point, she even sent Adam lingerie, which she addressed in a previous apology video, where she just said, oh, it was just a joke and whatever the case may be. It's like, as someone who is now, in their 20s, obviously still in my early 20s, and I still have a lot to learn. One thing that I know for sure is that I'm not sending a teenage boy lingerie. That's insane. Like, I can't even fathom that. I have a 16-year-old sister who I am very close to, and we don't go there. Like, we don't go there. We don't do that. Why? Because she's a little girl. Like, in my mind, I'm like, you're a child. You need to be a child and stay in a child's place. So for Colleen to do that, to me, knowing what I know, like if I were 18 and I saw the situation, I don't know if I would have the same reaction as I have now. But the older that you get, the more you know that she has no excuse for that behavior. And so this was addressed in, I believe, 2020. I'm not 100% sure, but this was addressed years ago. And then it was brought up again because screenshots were, I guess, the screenshots came up basically of her in these group chats with these fans, again, making very inappropriate comments. And it's just so much evidence. It seems like I'm seeing more stuff about Colleen every day or every week. Like there's just something else that I didn't see. And mind you, I haven't been following this super closely because I thought that everyone knew that she was like this 3 years ago. I don't know why we needed Adam to say something again for everyone to suddenly believe that she's like this. Because to me, sending lingerie to a 15-year-old kid, or I'm not sure how old exactly he was, but he was a teenager, you don't do that. And her apology video was such garbage. I can't believe that we're even having to have this conversation again, that she has to be exposed again for people to truly see the type of scum that she is. Because I think that people that try to, get kids into like explicit stuff like that, I think that they're scum. We need to start really protecting kids because kids are receiving the brunt of a lot of adults being creeps and weirdos and predators online. And I think that Colleen is a creep and a weirdo. So now we are at June 28th, 2023. Colleen has been mired in controversy for the past few weeks, if not like a month, of people just talking about these screenshots that have been uncovered and put online, and everyone's talking about how gross these allegations are against Colleen, how much worse it has gotten, the situation that's already years old. And something that Colleen has already addressed with Adam. And so for more things to come out, it's just 10 times worse. People have been talking about it all over TikTok, YouTube, everything. And Colleen has been radio silent about it until June 28th, when she decided to post a 10-minute video of her singing. And I'm not even going to call it an apology because it was not an apology. We just call these things apologies because that's what we're expecting. But what it was her basically doing a Lin-Manuel Miranda, I guess. Like she thought that she was just going to sing her way out. She literally sang for 10 minutes with a ukulele and did awkward, weird pauses in between for some type of some dramatic pauses or whatever, basically saying you guys are feeding into rumors and lies and feeding into fake drama. That's what she said. And it blows my mind that she didn't at least come with some type of receipt to back herself up. I just feel like it's obvious that all of what Adam is saying and all of what everyone else is saying about her is 100% true. Because if I had allegations against me that I was actively grooming children, first of all, I'm lawyering up and I'm filing a lawsuit. If it's false, I'm filing a lawsuit against everybody. Because these allegations are way too terrible. That's what made me know for a fact that James Charles did everything that he was accused of. Because why would you take those allegations? Why? The same thing with Shane Dawson. Why would you take those allegations if they are not true? If they aren't true, then I'm lawyering up because those allegations are crazy. So it's clear to me that Colleen knows that she has no leg to stand on, but she needs to say, this is what she does for a living. What she does for a living is get people's attention, is get followers, is get subscribers. That's what she does for a living. If you don't subscribe to her, she does not have a roof over her head. Think about that. This is what she does for a living. So she has to address it. She has to address the controversy. So what is she going to do? Instead of saying, hey, let me gather receipts, let me lawyer up, let me make sure that these allegations are truly nipped in the bud because they're not true, but she knows that they're true. This is what she does. She decides to be ridiculous. And I think that this was very planned out for her to do something this insane, because she knew, okay, well, at least I'm going to get hate watches. At least I'm going to make back some of what I've lost in revenue, because she's literally lost sponsorships because of this. And I honestly think that at this point, after this video, yeah, you gained enough money, I guess, from this video to make back something, but she needs to lose all of her sponsorships. You don't want to have her face on anything. No one should be supporting her. She needs to get a mass subscriber loss, because this is bad. And even past the controversy, if it was a less serious offense, right? It was still an offense. It still got people upset, but it was less serious than the allegations being brought against her that she is a groomer. Okay, if it was less serious than that, and she still did this, people would still be upset, because it's like, okay, you're just not taking anything anyone is saying seriously. You're not taking anyone's hurt seriously. You're not taking anything that anyone has ever said to you seriously. And that also bothers me, that this is how she does. But she's doing it for a reason. She needs some type of clout, so she's going to do something ridiculous so that she can at least gain back some of the money that she's losing. And even more so, what bothered me about the video, other than, of course, everything, was just how much she committed to playing the victim. I mean, it was to me, she was just feeding into her theater kid. You know, she was on Broadway at one point in Waitress. Like, she was fully feeding into that and just saying, hey, let me give you a Broadway-esque performance of me, like, being the victim, and everyone just hates me and I'm such the victim, and whatever the case may be. And it's like, you're just making it worse. You are just making it worse. And on top of that, she has now gained the hate of more people who didn't know about this situation, because of how she has been trending all day. Like, #1 spot trending. That's insane. You have just caused so much media attention on a situation that you, like, is just gonna make you look 10 times worse, dude. Like, okay, you get the little bit of clout, the little bit of money that you could get back by doing this ridiculous video. But what have you now also gained for yourself? Thousands of other people who didn't know who you were, or who didn't know about the controversy, now they know, and now they hate you too. So it's now even more of an outcry of like, we hate her. I don't want to see her on a sponsorship. I don't want to see her on YouTube. I don't want my kids watching her. Like, that's the level that it's going to be. And then she had the nerve to be like, oh, Miranda Sings has always been PG-13. Ma'am, you and Miranda, oh my gosh, Miranda Sings has always been for kids, because only kids could truly, like, enjoy stuff like that. I remember as a kid, everyone loved Miranda Sings. The only adults that really watch Miranda Sings are the ones who grew up with her. You can only say now that it's PG-13 because you know that you grew up with a generation that watched you when they were kids. So now they're in their 20s. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're trying to make it seem as if I've always been for adults. No, you haven't, and you know that. You know how old your audience is. These content creators know their audiences, dude. I had a way smaller account on Instagram, right? That had way less numbers, and I knew who my audience was. You don't think she knows who her audience is? She's being manipulative, dude. And she's been manipulative this entire time. Now I'm calling y'all dude. Look at me. But That's how I talk. So I'm gonna just talk how I talk. Anyways, she is being so manipulative with like everything. But I hope that everyone caught that she's being manipulative, because the ukulele, like, it just, the whole situation is so ridiculous that there's no way that she's not also trying to be manipulative or also being evil. Like, there's no way that any part of this situation is benevolent. That any part of what she just posted on YouTube is good. Like, because this is how you respond? Really? That makes me believe Adam 10 times more. That makes me believe that stuff is even probably worse. But I don't know. I'm not even going to put that out there. But, like, that's your response? No receipts. Nothing. Just this. Just you and a ukulele. Like, I'm just floored. I am floored at this. Like, this is insane. Like, this is, like, if this was in, I swear to you, if this was in, like, 2018, oh my goodness, do you know how much money drama channels would have made? Like, it would be insane. If this happened around the same time as my sister, I think that, like, Twitter, YouTube, like, it would have been the most fun, because it's like, obviously it's not a fun situation, but those times, like, everyone reminisces, like, Dramageddon, everyone reminisces, because that time was so insane, and everyone had a new take, and there was so much new tea, and, like, this is one of those situations where it's like, oh my goodness, like, what is happening? But I also wanted to quickly just close out this video by addressing, I think, the true issue with all of this, with this entire controversy, that I think that we did not really take into account, obviously, when internet culture really started. And that was that when internet culture brings people together that in real life would never really be around each other. To me, it's kind of like a random minimum wage job in the summer. You see people who are, much older, they've always been at this job. They've been at this job for 15 years. They got kids. You see young adults, like, barely 18, just come out of high school. Like, some of them are going to college, some of them aren't. Like, some of them are just working here. You see, like, middle-aged people who might become managers. Like, you see that, but they all are aware of each other's ages, and they still kind of, like, congregate to their little cliques. I mean, obviously, you can, like, at my job, right? Like, I'm working at, like, I just have a summer job, and I'm working around all these different people, and everyone's different ages, but you know how to interact. Like, there are older ladies that are, like, so sweet that I talk to, but I talk to them like I talk to older ladies, like a nice auntie, you talk to them. But then there's girls who are, like, freshly 18 that I talk to a different way, like, or people who are closer to my age, you know what I'm saying? Like, you talk to them a certain type of way. With internet culture, especially with, influencers and their audiences, influencers they're always insecure, because they know that they're not real celebrities, but they know that they have audiences, but they know that those audiences can go quickly. And so they want to stay, I guess, in touch with their audiences. And I think that a lot of influencers have done this, where they try to stay in touch with their audiences, even though they're getting older and they're aging out of being influencers, or at least the types of influencers that they became famous being. You get what I'm saying? So, like, when she started Miranda Sings, she was in her early 20s, and, like, she wasn't a mother, and, like, whatever the case may be. And so she had a certain type of persona, and she talked to her fans a certain way, like her older fans a certain way, but then, like, she has younger fans as well, and she's trying to keep those. And I think that, I'm not going to say that Colleen 100% groomed them. I don't know if I can go there. I think that Colleen blurred a lot of lines that there is no excuse in blurring. There's no excuse. Absolutely none. There's no excuse for her. But what I do think is that internet culture has made kids adults and adults kids. And we're seeing the negative effects of internet culture on kids, on adults, on the relationships between the two, on how children grow up, and how adults think that they can now speak to children and what they can expose to children. And obviously, again, like, I'm not excusing anything. I'm not blaming anyone but Colleen for her behavior, because at the end of the day, adults absolutely have the responsibility to know better. Point blank, period. There is no excuse for her behavior. But what I will say is that I think that with internet culture, we have seen how adults, because they want to keep attention, they want to keep audiences, they want to keep those kids in their parents' pockets to give them the monies to go on tour. You know what I'm saying? They will interact with children as if they are peers when they are not. And I think that there's also something to say about the fact that influencers, especially influencers like Miranda Sings, you know, they grow up a little slower because they're not doing real jobs like their peers. They're not getting up and going to an office. They're getting up and then they're going on Instagram and Twitter and YouTube. Like, that's such a childish thing to do as an adult, really. But that's not an excuse. It's just an observation that I'm making about what kind of leads to this, and maybe just the bigger picture and maybe the bigger problem. Again, I am not excusing her behavior whatsoever, but there is something to say about the bigger phenomenon of internet culture and, you know, age lines being blurred. So, yeah, that's basically it. I'm just very much floored at this because I think that it's bringing back so much nostalgia of just like old classic ridiculous YouTube drama. But again, like, this is a serious situation, and you know, we're talking about children being involved. Even if they're teenagers, they're still children, and we need to start seeing teenagers as children so that we can protect them. We see a lot of kids growing up really fast right now, and it's very scary. I don't know if you guys have seen this on TikTok, but there was like this video of I guess this teacher was posting the outfits of her 5th graders for their banquets. And when I tell you, I wanted to call CPS so badly, because why were these little girls in skin tight dresses? Why are these little boys doing all these little signs or whatever, you know, acting like they're grown? And this is what we have done. Well, what y'all have done, because I haven't done this to nobody yet, or at all, because I won't. But we need to start having children be children. Get them off those phones. Okay? Because they're seeing what grown folks are doing. They don't need to see what grown folks are doing. They do not need to be influenced by anyone but Miss Rachel, okay? That's the only person they need to be influenced by, and barely even that, because I don't want my babies on YouTube and accidentally clicking on something, you know what I'm saying? So, like, if you have a child right now, hold that baby close and take that phone out of their hand. Point blank, period. Because now we're getting to the point where they're you know, you don't know what those kids are doing on there. You don't know what those kids are doing on there. If Adam's parents knew about what this woman was saying to him, do you think that they would have that phone in that hand? Or that woman on that phone? Like, they better not have, because that is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. And this is just, to me, a very good sign, you know, a telltale sign of, like, when I become a parent, I know what I'm not going to do. And I'm very, very thankful that I didn't get into social media heavily until, you know, I was in my teens. And even then, I still wasn't into social media the way that I am now, to have that type of access to celebrities like that. and to influencers like that, and just to adults like that. I mean, even I had my fair share of like experiences with adults online, and none of it is okay. And so we need to see this now on the other side. Like, a lot of people have now grown up on social media, and for the generation that has grown up on social media and is on the other side of their childhoods and are now looking back, like, we need to look back and be like, okay, let's not do this. Let's not, talk about explicit things with anyone under the age of 18, regardless of like how grown we thought we were, because at the end of the day, the only things that they should be focusing on and worrying about at that age is school and friends and pure things. They're children, and they need to stay as such. Okay, like, we need to start making hard lines as to what type of content is for who and what type of conversation is for whom. Because it's just, then we have situations like this where deranged people think that they can blur the lines, and it's not right. But anyways, that's all I have to say on this. Again, I'm not going to tell you that I'm going to be back soon, because I don't know if I will, but this was fun. And yeah, tell me what you think in the comment section. And that's it. Thanks. Bye.